The first connection that we set for soothing energy is a go-to connection. This is how you can shift yourself into a space that allows your brain to work. It pulls you out of the stress mess. So when you get a chance, if you haven't done it, watch The Story of Stress. It's in the first video. There's actually an audio and a transcript of it that you'll have available to you in the portal soon, in the Facebook group. And the reason that this particular connection, the first finger, is so important is because it will stop a stress reaction. It will pull you out of fight or flight mode if you practice it. Okay? So, practicing strategies. Both of these connections can be practiced the same way. One place to practice is before the phone. And I'll go ahead and write it down for the visual people. Before you answer the phone, before you make a phone call, pick a connection, take 3 deep breaths, bring your energy down with connection 1, bring your energy up with connection 2. The connection we put on your middle finger today, this is invigorating energy. This is how you improve your self-esteem. This is how you improve your self-confidence. This is the one you go to for improved focus. Okay? So, before you answer the phone, what would life be like if you felt confident when you picked up the phone to make a phone call? So this is just about building on where you already are. It doesn't really matter where you start from, whether you already feel confident or whether you don't feel very confident making phone calls. This one will help you move forward incrementally the more you practice it. The second place to practice that everybody has to deal with, we all have places like this. Red, stop. Okay, so stop. We're going to call them red lights. Oh, look at that. I'm using the red pen. Funny thing about that. Okay, so when you stop at a red light, use this time to your advantage. Strengthen your tools. Take 3 deep breaths and activate one of your connections. What's the best energy that you need for your next adventure? You know, if you're going to the dentist, you might want to be using the connection on your first finger. Let's just calm that puppy down. If you're going into a sales meeting, bring that energy up. This is fingertip control of your life. The more you practice these connections, the stronger they get. All right, we talked about both of these in terms of prevention, using them to be able to plan ahead, you know, calming yourself down before you walk into work, bringing your energy up before you give a presentation. And I have clients who have been watching what's going on TV lately and have asked me if I was coaching some of the people that have been on TV a lot because they're watching them on TV doing things like this. And I was like, no, not mine, thank you. Would not bode well for my skill set, I'm afraid. But it is something that people do naturally, unintentionally, or they do because they've had coaching and training. You can consciously choose. All right. When I studied Eastern Healing Arts, because that's also part of my background, there's a spot in the center of the palm. In Japanese, it's called the Palace of Anxiety. And if you've ever noticed a speaker standing like this, what they're doing, putting pressure right there. Okay? So this works with the acupuncture, acupressure, shiatsu point. Okay, that's what they're doing. They are applying pressure into that point because that resets the heart as well. So that's a bonus tool. Okay. These are just absolutely proven instruction manuals for the brain and for the body. And you're going to have quite a toolkit by the end of this very short course. But we're going to cover a lot of material pretty quickly. Okay, so you practice before you pick up the phone to make a phone call or answer it. Practice at red lights. Okay? Stop and breathe and practice. All right, so that covers our connection. And I have two directions to go in tonight. And one of them is what I had planned. And the other is what came up this week. And what came up this week in my own 5x5 practice, I'm working with the book Triggers. And the book is written by Marshall Goldsmith. And he has a set of questions. He has one question, it comes in parts. And I thought, oh my, now there's a question that goes with attitude, okay? Because there's something about attitude that saved my daughter's life. So getting control of attitude can save lives. I didn't know I was saving her life. I thought I was saving mine. The attitude was, I'm not willing. When people used to ask me to do things, I would say, I can't. I would give them something hard that they could then fight back about. Of course you can. Anybody can argue that. I can't afford it. Well, of course you can. Every salesman in the world knows how to handle that objection. So I was giving objections, and people were really smart about managing them. So I ended up doing a lot of things that I said I didn't want to do. Okay? The hallmark of a doormat. When your mouth is saying one thing and your actions are saying another, that's not in your best interest. So when my attitude changed, and I got an attitude of I'm not willing, there's no way to overcome that. That's not an objection. That's a stand of power. It says, I'm in control, I'm not willing. Basically, you can't make me. You know, it is my 3-year-old that said, no, I'm not willing. What happened for me is that, and this is not a story that I tell, but you guys show up for this, and you are so determined to make a difference in your world that I will tell you this story. I hadn't seen her in a while. I knew she was in trouble. I'd gotten the phone call from the credit union. They needed to find her. Oh, well, that could only mean one thing. She wasn't making her car payment. I knew where she worked. It was only a mile from my house. And I had already used the I'm not willing once when I said I'm not willing for you to live with me any longer. That had been a few weeks earlier. I got in my car, put the key in the ignition, and stopped. And took the key out of the ignition, got out of my car, and walked back in my house. And decided I wasn't willing to invite her chaos into my life by even going to see her. She survived. But I didn't know from one day to the next if she would. She was on the streets. She was living in her car till her car got repoed. I knew when they were going to repo it, and I did not intervene. That was the hardest moment of my life as a parent, because I could have stopped it. And I realized that I wasn't helping her if I stopped it, because I was preventing her from experiencing the natural and logical consequences. And there's just a moment where I said I wasn't willing. It meant I was willing to wait day by day, not knowing what was going to happen. She says that saved her life because she hit rock bottom sooner. It is not a kindness to prevent people from bottoming out. Yeah, you might push them off a railroad track if they're, got a train coming at them that they don't see. But if they're volunteering, it's not a kindness to save them. It's a service to us. It makes us feel better. It made me feel better. My first experience of shift from doormat was probably to rescuer. I could feel better about myself if I could rescue someone else. The day that I stopped being a rescuer is the day that my life changed. And it was when I said I'm not willing. So think about the attitude that that had to have, that I had to have, to be not willing to do that.